The world of private passenger aircraft is all about comfort and luxury. Big corporations send their top executives to travel in jets with well-appointed interiors. And the world's super wealthy spare no expense making their private planes as lavish as their homes. I know I do. Buying a plane is a bit like buying a new house. You get to choose all the fixtures and fittings. Everything from the carpets and seat covers to the style and colour of the cabinets. Weight is critical on an aircraft, and the cabinets can't be made from solid wood. Even plywood is far too heavy. The solution? Panels made of hard paper, sandwiched between fiberglass sheets. Strong like plywood, but a quarter of the weight. Machines cut the panels to shape and drill holes for threaded inserts, which will hold bolts and screws for hinges and handles. After refining the holes with hand tools, workers hold the inserts in the holes with tape, while they inject epoxy glue to bond the inserts permanently. The panels are joined with a tongue and groove system, so machines cut the edges accordingly. The material is fibrous, so the cut edges are rough. Workers smooth them off before gluing and assembling. Some of the panels will be too hard to access after they're assembled, so they receive their decorative veneer facade before being cut to shape. These pieces are covered in a protective film to prevent damage during assembly. Once a unit is assembled, workers make sure it's square. They also verify the dimensions. Meanwhile, an automated belt sander prepares the veneer. Veneer is wood that's been sliced into thin sheets. For these cabinet facades, the sheets are a mere 1.2 millimeters thick. The most typical choices are walnut, ebony, cherry and birch. Workers disassemble the unit to access each component for veneering. They lay the component on the back of the veneer sheet and trace around it. Then they follow the pencil line with a fine-toothed veneer saw. Next, they spray contact cement on the panel surface and the veneer's underside. A plastic sheet in between prevents contact until the veneer is correctly positioned. After pressing down the veneer, they place the panel in a vacuum bag and suck out the air. This flattens the veneer evenly over the entire surface. 8 hours later, the panel comes out of the vacuum bag, and they trim the veneer so it's flush all around. Then they glue the edges with epoxy and apply strips of hardwood to match the facade. The epoxy cures in a couple of hours, at which point they sand the edges to remove any excess glue. Now they reinstall the panel, making sure the surrounding gaps are precisely 1.6 millimeters. Should any tweaking be required, they simply sand the edges or adjust the hinges. They disassemble yet again and touch up any imperfections that sanding the edges has caused. Once the paint is dry, they spray on the first of 9 coats of lacquer. Each coat has to dry overnight. Before applying the next coat, they sand it twice. First with an orbital sander, then with a sanding block. This is to remove any marks in the lacquer left by the orbital sander. After the last coat of lacquer dries, they do a final sanding with a very fine-grade sandpaper. Then, using a wool pad and a polishing compound, they polish the surface to a reflective high-gloss finish. The components are reassembled for the last time. Then the fixtures and accessories are installed, along with the decorative hardware and everything electrical. The cabinet unit is finally finished and is ready to be fitted into your new private jet. Any electrical components like lights are plug and play. You just install it, plug it in, and everything works. And so it should, for that kind of money. Mind you, mine was worth every penny. Jocks away.